the liabilities of having people do those inspections in the county where they're not certified, when the whole purpose of this program is to protect the homeowner. You know, the benefits, we've got to look at the citizens here in the county. And I want to make it clear right now, the mayor's not advocating that we have somebody outside the area do the inspections. The mayor is just advocating that we get our house in order, we set up the department, let's have the fee schedules, let's have the people trained accordingly as all the other inspectors are across the state, and then adopt a resolution and a department, create that department. But again, here we've got overlapping concerns. It wouldn't be advisable for this body because you'll be back in a few days adjusting it again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Schuler, would you like to address that?
Yes, as you stated, Mr. Tony Gooch is certified in both residential and building codes. Mr. Church is residential building inspector, been certified by state. Also, we have numerous inspection criteria, certificates of training, which Mr. Church, myself, and Mr. Gooch are involved in, and we're moving forward with 1 year from the date of publications that this was adopted.
Any discussion?
Do you have to qualify to inspect the plumbing and flooring?
1 year from the date of the adoption.
Do that again now?
1 year from the date of adoption, which would be adoption, the physical adoption of this code or this resolution would be after it's published in the Elizabeth and Star.
1 year from that day?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, we've known about this since September. We've had more than ample time to get the people, and it was my understanding that's what we were doing. We're in the process of getting the people trained. So again, you're putting this county in a very liable situation, or a situation of liable, for putting people out in the field that are not qualified. Why would we want to initiate a program, create a department, and put people out there inspecting these properties when they're not certified? Why don't we wait until we get certified people and to do that? And especially Mr. Schuler, if he's going to head this department, he should be the first that has certification so that he can, because in this resolution, we're giving him the power of appointment or designation for each of the people that works under him. If he's not certified, how is he going to determine the people under him? So, again, you need to look at this very seriously. What's it going to hurt? The program that we have now is working. We're issuing the permits. State inspectors are taking care of those situations, just like they are in Washington County. I spoke with those people on numerous occasions from September of last year until now. Why don't we leave what we've got in place until we get our house in order, and then by all means adopt and do it here over?
Mr. Chairman, I'll have to agree with the mayor. They were stood right here and told us in September for a long time about these safety inspections, all these inspections. And he worked for some company, him can tell us this thing. And we did agree to this, that we would, that the planning commission would have all this in place, would be able to take that guy's place to do all this stuff. So now, if I understood Mr. Schuler right, they don't have nobody to do plumbing, electricity. So, I'll make a motion, you leave it like it is until they do something else with it.
We have a motion on the floor, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Just a minute. Go ahead, Mr.
One thing, let me bring up, and this is up to the commission, how they can vote on this. This is, for this state, it has cost the citizens of Carter County $30,375 by having to go get this, having the state do this. And I will say this, when Mr. Church and Mr. Gooch, and let me say this, we have been doing a lot trying to get these people trained and get them. And Mr. Gooch and when Mr. Gooch and Mr. Church was down there taking a test, one of the guys that's coming up here doing the inspections was down there taking the test himself. So I mean, you know, maybe we've got some people that hadn't done this, but also we may have some people coming up here from the state that has not passed this test time. Now, the state's not gonna come back up here and get it, and do like we did. This commission forfeited overnight some money to these people when they didn't have, when they weren't done right. We had a guy from the state that was coming up here doing inspection that at the time wasn't certified. He hadn't passed the test. He was down there taking the test when these guys were. And I'll repeat it. $30,375. It just cost the campus, these county people that went and had this done. That's how much they had to pay. And that's all I have to say. And, you know, the commission can vote the way they want to, what they want to do.
Mr. Hicks.
Mr. Schutler, when do you anticipate your department being fully trained and certificated?
Right now, as far as Tennessee code and what's been adopted by the state of Tennessee, I have one individual that's totally qualified. He has a 12-month period as of October to reach his mechanical and plumbing, which he's been working to be certified on that. Also, Mr. Church in March will be taking his IBC code. Also, he'll be working on taking his plumbing and his mechanical at the time. The electrical inspector that Mr. Lewis spoke of is a state subcontractor. He's the same electrical inspector that's been here probably the last 12, 14 years. And prior to that, it was done by another subcontractor. So electrical is not in tune with this. It's only mechanical and plumbing.
Is there anybody in your department who's fully certificated right now?
As fully certificated as the individual that does the inspections here at this time, Mr. Bond, yes, sir, is Mr. Goode.
And may I say this, in all fairness to these guys, they have put a lot of time and a lot of effort into going down, making sure that they have went down and been certified.
And part of it also, we lost 2 employees during this last, since September of last year. Also, Daniel Pierce, he was IFC qualified with State of Tennessee. We lost him to Washington County Sheriff's Department as a jailer. And then, of course, I lost Mr. Lyons, who was being trained up to the landfill for his great job he's doing there.
This comes directly from the Department of Insurance and Commerce website in reference to this question. Now, Mr. Chamber just noted that total permits today has been roughly $30,000. Okay, what are the benefits for and cost to citizens in a city or county with a qualifying 1 and 2 family residential code? First, consumers will have protection from substandard construction and will benefit from the reduced energy cost in soundly constructed homes. The U.S. Department of Energy estimated that homes built to a modern code save 30 to 50% in energy usage. Appraisals of energy efficient homes could be higher than one that does not meet energy standards, which could impact mortgage loans to value ratios positively. Identifying any mistakes before they have been concealed by further construction will make any correction less costly. Reputable home builders benefit from having standards that apply to all contractors and from enforcement of those standards. Homes built to a residential code are safer. Homes required to properly dispose of waste will protect the environment. New homeowners in cities and counties with codes that are effectively enforced may benefit from an ISO building code effectiveness grading system premium discount on their homeowners insurance. Homes that are constructed meeting higher standards may suffer less damage in a storm, for example, and in the long term, reduced claims would impact risk-based insurance rates. Reduced energy costs more than offset applicable permitting and inspection fees in a very short period of time, which impacts the long-term affordability of the resident. Now, on average, in Carter County, say a $100,000 home, you're looking at about $350 as a base start for that permit, and it goes up from there. $350 against $100,000 to ensure that you've got a home that's well constructed is nothing. I have been in real estate myself since 1997. I have seen countless residential inspections. There are some good inspectors out there, and there's some inspectors that you don't want on your property. The most of the inspectors that are reputable are those that have been through the courses and are certified. Now, why would we as a county want to establish a department of inspection and put people out there that are not not certified in the inspection? Again, per conversations this morning, Mr. Good has completed the building only portion. And per this international building code that you just adopted, it does include plumbing and mechanical. Even though we've taken the fire out of it because we've not incorporated 2009 international fire codes. So I'm telling you, if you do this tonight without getting this thing in order, you're making a mistake.
Mr. Arnold.
Mr. Chairman, this morning I had an opportunity to talk to an individual that's a contractor on $1 million home today in Carter County. And at this time, I'd like for Mr. Hopper to address this commission and explain to this committee the problems with the inspectors that we have today in this county doing the inspection. Mr. Hopper, would you please come and stand, please? Thank you, sir.
Many of you know me. I'm Amos Hallwood. I'm a partner of Brickwood Builders. We are building a home right now in Watauga Falls, which is inside Carter County. I bought my permit from Mr. Shooter's office several months ago. The inspector come out, done my footer inspection, no problem. Come out very friendly. About a week ago, he come to do my roofing inspection. And as a builder, I take pride in my work. I'm not here to try to circumvent code or build something wrong so that I can make an extra buck. Okay, I take great pride. We take pictures of our houses at every step so that we can show the people we build for and anybody else what we do. We don't hide anything. Inspector comes out, goes through the house, finds a few things here and there that he suggests that we need to do. No problem. Write them down, take care of them. He passes my house, signs my inspection report, marks it passed. There's one issue that came up. He wanted me to caulk the entire interior of the house, anything that touched the outside of the house. I had never heard of this. He was talking between every jack and king stud. Stop running a line of caulk and spraying it. So I asked him, if you can show me this in the code book, I have no problem doing it. He says, absolutely no problem, I'll show you. We go to his truck. He can't find it in his code book. We call somebody in Nashville. They can't find it in the code book. Call somebody else. They can't find it in the code book. He sits there and shakes my hand and says, you're good to go. Don't need to do this. At this point, I ordered sheetrock for my house. Have it sitting there right now waiting to be put up. When the inspector comes back, hands papers to me and says, we're enforcing this. Shuts my job site down, gives me a whole list of things that he finds deficient in the house. Okay, I've got men lined up at work. I got things needing to be done that now I'm stopped. I have to call everybody to put a stop on it, right? To this date, I spent $3,000 doing things that he's asked me to do in this house that are not in the code. He gives me an addendum from IECC of suggested ways that you can build a thermal envelope in a house. It is not part of the code. the code asks for an air block. The air block could be any material that resists air. I have that. We use a zipboard system, it's very efficient. It acts as an air block on its own. When he called the man in Nashville, the man in Nashville said, don't caulk that house, that's a bad idea. You'll create a double moisture barrier that effectively causes your house to sweat and cause rotting in the wood. Then to come back to me 3 days later, takes the permit out of the box, scratches up the pass, scratches spell, redates it, and puts it back in there and tells me I'm not to do anything else, then threatens me that I'll never get permanent power in that house until I do the things he says, even though he can't find them in the code. He gives me a list of other things, saying that my Advantex board, it's not Advantex, it's a zip board system on the side of the house, being installed horizontally is improper. I had to go to Huber, the manufacturer of that board, request a letter stating that no, that is the proper way to put it up, that you can choose either way, and they actually recommended you do it that way because it's more stable. Although he threatened me, saying that I had to rip all of it off the side of the house and install it another way. Okay, this caused me 3 days of delays, making numerous phone calls to people with the manufacturer to get that took care of. He comes in and looks at a step that I have and he says, this step is not the code, build a platform, rip it out, redo all the steps. So we looked at it, and optically it looked like it might be wrong, because we had actually had to stop the wood, build a knee wall, and then continue the steps on down. So we go to repair it, and we measure it, and it is correct. There's nothing wrong with it. This type of stuff, of all that, I have no problem fixing something. You can go to me in the code book and say it's right or wrong, let's do it this way, this is the right way. I have no problem. But for the man to sit there and look me in the face and shake my hand and say, you're good to go, go ahead and order your stuff, and then come back the next day and stop my job site because he was upset that I had questioned him on caulking a house. Or for him to tell me I'll never get permanent power on that house because he feels that he's the ultimate authority in anything, even though he told me we were good to go and that there was no problems. I spent $3,000 taking the cost and paying men to go up around that house and caulk the whole exterior of that house. I don't know that that won't cause me a problem 10 years from now. I'll get sued because even his superior agreed that that was a bad idea on the phone with me. And I would give anything to have that phone call recorded today because that's the only thing I can fall back on if this becomes a problem. It was not a matter of who knows what. It was not a matter of who was right or wrong. It was a matter of he passed me, now he stops me, and he does it not because it's the right thing to do or because I was building an unsafe house. Just because he didn't like me questioning him. When he couldn't find the answer, his report for that was to come back and stop me from doing anything else and try to get me to jump through all these hoops just to make me feel better. Now, I have no problem. I build in Johnson County, there's no inspections there. I built in Mountain City, their inspectors come from North Carolina, they're very strict. I built in the Bridges in Johnson City, and I've had to correct things that would come up found deficient. No true builder has a problem with the code, okay? But you've got to use common sense, and you've got to look at the totality of the code, not just one small section and say, well, I want to do this. I'm going to get a measure tape out and make sure you have enough nails in this wood. When you can look at the whole structure and see it's very soundly built. So I would encourage you to please, let's get people in there with common sense. And I would be up here and I would be the first one to be, if Mr. Church or Tony, one of these guys was up here and they were trying to make me do ridiculous things, costing me thousands of dollars for unnecessary things, I'd be up here in the same spot. But you give us no recourse. There's nobody to call. You call Nashville, nobody answers the phone, nobody calls you back. I've made numerous phone calls. You can't get anybody to tell you anything. Okay? These guys don't have a boss that you can call up and say, hey, is he on the line? Because they don't answer the phone and they don't return phone calls. At least if it's local, we can go talk to somebody. I can go to Chris's office. I've had a very good working relationship with Mr. Shooten. Okay? He's never asked me for a bribe or, hey, Amos, if you do this, I'll let you do this. Nothing. It's always been professional. And if I'm wrong, or if my guys are doing something out of line, they'll make sure that they let you know it. That's just me coming from the business side of it. But I just ask you, please, take that into consideration. You cannot get an answer from Nashville. Nobody will call you back. You got somebody out here doing whatever they want to do, we have nobody to turn to. And if you'd like to see the documentation, I actually took pictures of this permit where he passed it, and then comes back and fails it because he was upset with me for asking him a question. I can provide that to anybody anytime. Also, the letters from Huber where he fails it on one thing and they come back and say that it's the proper way to put it on. So, thank you, Mr. Hardy, for.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I've got a question for you.
Yes,
Who did this guy work for?
I assume he works for the state of Tennessee.
He is a subcontractor in the state of Tennessee, Department of Environment, Department of Commerce and Insurance, Mr. Lewis. Just like we do in the state.
What's this guy's name?
Excuse me, ma'am?
His name?
You're out of order, madam.
One last thing, Mr. Chairman. I feel for this builder, but it's obvious that he's got a person that may have passed the certifications, but he really wasn't qualified. So again, that's even more of a reason to make certain that the people we have here in our county are qualified, capable. Otherwise, the county could be in a liable situation to reimburse this man for the thousands of dollars that he's spent. So again, that just reinforces the need, and I don't have a problem, let me overemphasize that, I don't have a problem with creating it here in this county as long as we're ready to do the job. And right now, we are not in that position because we don't have qualified people.
I'll beg to differ with the mayor. Leon, I think you're wrong on that. And if an individual decides to progress into the Board of Appeals with us, we have two very highly qualified contractors / ex-inspectors for the United States government, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Cannon, who sits on that board. Also, Mr. Treadway is over the finances and situations of construction within the VA Medical Center. So even if we don't meet the criteria of what the individual thinks, or we are in disagreement with a ZIP board compared to HIVEC or something of this nature, or we're trying to enforce a double envelope within that home, it's going to cause us K. That's what it's going to do. It's going to harbor termites. That's what it does. That's what moisture does. Moisture brings termites to little construction. It's simple. Mr. Gooch has a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge building homes. Mr. Church also does, and Mr. Church has a lot of experience building construction with commercial copy construction. Myself, I do too.